Hello there you guys, welcome to one of my videos. So Manchester United have missed out on Sergio Regulion because according to The Athletic, Tottenham are closing in on the signing of Sergio Regulion, but we was emerged as the favourites to sign the player because it recently said that Sergio Regulion has made his decision. He wants to come to Manchester United. And Fabrizio Romano and also to Marcia and other Spanish outlets said that Manchester United were very, very close to signing the player. But the main explanations why we're not going to sign Sergio Regulion is because we are reluctant to meet Real Madrid's asking price. Real Madrid do want around £27 million for the player. And plus we do not want a buyback clause included in the deal. But Real Madrid are demanding a buyback clause in the deal. But I'm very disappointed that it's looking likely now that we're not going to get Sergio Regulion on the board because I said it would have been very beneficial if Manchester United had got a left back in. We have got two predominant left backs in the team at the moment, and that's obviously Luke Shaw. My element of concern about Luke Shaw, he's injury prone, and obviously, we've got Brandon Williams, and obviously Brandon Williams is our backup left back. And Sergio Regulion did recently say that he wanted to make a return to Sevilla because he was out on loan with Sevilla last season, where he played around 38 games in all competitions. And obviously he had a few other loan spells with the Logrones. But I said, he will leave Real Madrid because obviously he can't get in Real Madrid's team because Zinedine Zidane prefers Ferland Mendy and Marcelo ahead of Sergio Regulion. Regulion has been at Real Madrid for several years. He's been in their senior squad since 2018. He's been a Real Madrid player since 2005. So he's been there for around 15 years. He has still got a contract with Real Madrid until 2023. So what's now coming out now is totally contrast to what was coming out earlier on, because it even mentioned that negotiations between Manchester United and Real Madrid were at an advanced stage to come to an agreement for Sergio Regulion. But it is a shame. And it's good news, though, from a Tottenham perspective. Tottenham have already made some good signings in this summer transfer window. Obviously, they got Holberg, they got Kyle Walker-Phillips, didn't they? They got Joe Hart on a free, and they recently got Doherty. But I really, really wanted Sergio Regulion at Manchester United. So that is the breaking news on him. Now, I want to delve into some news on Jadon Sancho from Borussia Dortmund. So, Manchester United are not giving up on the signing of Jadon Sancho. But I think his transfer to Manchester United in this summer transfer window is looking very unlikely. We are concerned that we will face competition for Jadon Sancho's signature next year if we don't get him in this summer transfer window, because obviously next year probably the likes of Real Madrid, Barcelona and Liverpool will try and get Jadon Sancho on the board. Now, Fabrizio Romano did recently say that the personal terms, the agent fees and a contract worth 120 grand a week had been agreed with Jadon Sancho. It also mentioned that we'd submitted a £90 million bid with a further 18 million due in performance-related add-ons. And this will be paid in instalments over the course of the next 2 to 3 seasons. But it said last month, didn't it, that Sancho had agreed personal terms with the club, and it said he was set to sign a 5-year contract with the football club. But we're not willing to meet Borussia Dortmund's valuation. Borussia Dortmund's valuation is £108 million. And like I said, throughout the course of this transfer saga regarding Sancho, it has been Borussia Dortmund's asking price that has been the stumbling block. I think Jadon Sancho is an exceptional player, but I just don't think he's worth what Dortmund are demanding. I think he's worth from between 70 to 80 million pounds. That's what I think Jadon Sancho is worth. But I said Jadon Sancho's transfer to Manchester United won't happen in this summer transfer window unless Dortmund reduce their asking price. And they're not going to reduce their asking price because they do remain ruthless over their valuation. Now, Sancho is our number one priority target. And he's been our number one priority target for a while, and we have been in for him for like the last 3 years. And Solskjaer recently revealed that he's infuriated with the Jadon Sancho deal because the saga has gone on for far too long, and he's actually urged Ed Woodward to sign Sancho. Now, don't forget we said we want to sign Sancho by the time we play Crystal Palace. We don't play Crystal Palace until Saturday that's our opening game of the Premier League season. And Sancho has held several talks with Solskjaer, and I heard that Sancho has said to Solskjaer that he wants to play for the football club. But quite a few weeks ago now, I disregarded Sancho coming to Manchester United because obviously it said that we'd abandoned our chase for the player until the summer of 2021. Dortmund said to us we had until the 10th of August to sign the player. We missed out on that deadline, so Sancho decided to go out on pre-season. And we've just been struggling to come to an agreement on a fee. But I've outlined the reasons why I wanted Man United to sign Sancho is because he's got a very, very good friendship with Rashford. He's predominantly a right winger, and Manchester United are in search for the right winger. And I think if he came to the Premier League, he would exceed expectations. And he's still very, very young. Sancho's enjoyed 3 good years with Borussia Dortmund. Dortmund paid just £8 million in for Man City back in 2017. Like I said, if we'd have signed Sancho, it'd have been very good from Man United perspective. And it'd have also been good from Manchester City perspective because they would have benefited from it. Because Manchester City would have got around 15% of the transfer fee. Now, Sancho did enjoy a couple of years at City, but the main explanation he left Manchester City is because he didn't get assured any first-team opportunities. Before he was at City, he was at Watford. He was at Watford from the age of 7 to the age of 14, so he was there for several years. That's where he began his footballing career. Sancho still got a contract with Dortmund until 2022. We know that he would have been our next number 7 because he would have fulfilled number 7 well, and we've obviously got number 7 vacant at the moment, but we have had a lot of good number 7s up and down the generations. But, like I've said, a few transfer experts have spoken about this Jadon Sancho transfer saga. Fabrizio Romano's spoken about it, Christian Farke's spoken about it a few times. James Cooper, he's another person that's spoken about it last month, and James Cooper tends to be very, very close to Manchester United. But obviously, we've been looking at quite a few alternatives to Sancho because these cheaper solutions in him, we've recently been looking at Gareth Bale from Real Madrid. Now, Gareth Bale could be available for just 18.5 million. Now, Tottenham are in talks over getting Gareth Bale on loan, so Gareth Bale could be possibly reuniting with Tottenham. Sky Sports did report out yesterday that Man United are considering getting Bale on loan. James Cooper confirmed that he's one of our alternatives to Sancho, but Bale would prefer to leave Real Madrid permanently rather than go out on loan. Gareth Bale has been training away from the rest of the Real Madrid first team squad recently, so that's fueled speculation up, and I think he's had negotiations with Zinedine Zidane regarding his future. But Bale has said he would like to make a return to the Premier League. Bale's had a long-running transfer saga. Don't forget he was very, very close to joining the Chinese Super League. Was it last summer? He was offered £1 million a week, but his move didn't materialise to the Chinese Super League. An unnamed Premier League club had put around an £89 million bidding for him. Bale has endured 7 seasons with Real Madrid, won a total of 13 major honours. Real Madrid paid £85 million in from Tottenham in 2013. I think at that point he was a record signing, and Bale still got a contract with Madrid until 2022. His wages are substantial because I think he's on around £600,000 a week. But we've been in for Bale for several years. Douglas Costa, he's another one of our alternatives to Sancho. João Felix from Atletico Madrid, he's another one. Ousmane Dembele has been one alternative. Kingsley Coman, quite a few weeks ago, we inquired about getting him on loan. So that is the latest news on that. You obviously already know the news on Alex Telles. I heard now he's available for just 18.5 million. He's another left back on our agenda. Give you the news on Jack Grealish earlier on. He's now not going to be coming to Manchester United because he's just recently signed a 5-year contract with Aston Villa. I think there's around 3 weeks or just under 3 weeks left of this summer transfer window, and Manchester United have still got quite a few things to do. Like I said, we've obviously got to make more signings. We have only made one signing at the moment in the summer transfer window, and that was Donny van de Beek. And Solskjaer has said he wants to make 3 more signings after Donny van de Beek. Obviously we've got to try and sign a centre-half, despite the fact that we have got 7 centre-halves in the team. We need someone to go alongside Harry Maguire in our back line. Like I said, we need to get a left-back in. We need to get rid of more of the deadwood at the football club because he's still deadwood at Manchester United, but we are struggling to offload our fringe players. Very imperative that we sell players in this summer transfer window because we'll generate money and it will help us with our rebuilding process. We're obviously looking to get rid of Jesse Lingard. I think we need to get rid of Andres Pereira, but he could possibly stay. We obviously need to get rid of Smalling, Rojo, Jones. We also need to get rid of Diego Dalot. And Sergio Romero is open to leaving the football club because Sergio Romero is now our third choice goalkeeper because Dean Henderson's just recently returned and Romero's not going to want to stay at Man United as third choice goalkeeper. So, I don't think, Solskjaer is prepared for the new season. He isn't. Because to be honest with you, we have made one signing, fair enough, but I thought we'd have made at least another signing, before we played Crystal Palace. But I think Solskjaer's totally blameless in all of this. He really, really is. Because I feel as though Solskjaer is progressing as Manchester United manager. And he's even publicly admitted that we've got to spend money in this summer transfer window. Solskjaer, in my opinion, is not getting backed enough, and I think he deserves to be backed more. And Woodward has said quite a few times that, he's determined to back Solskjaer. The Glazers have said quite a few times that they're determined to back Solskjaer. But Solskjaer recently revealed that he's been very infuriated with the board over our lack of transfer business in this summer transfer window. But we've been critical of the board for several years because for several years our recruitment policy's been very poor. I think we've overpaid for players. Obviously, the managers that we've had since Ferguson, quite frankly, have not been backed enough. Obviously Woodward's been at the football club since 2012 and the Glazers have been at the football club since 2005. And this summer transfer window, Solskjaer's 4th transfer window as Manchester United manager. And my element of concern as well that there's teams around us that have been recruiting very, very well. By far, Chelsea have done the best business so far. They've obviously brought Ziyech, Timo Werner, Ben Chilwell, Kai Havertz, Milan Sarr, Thiago Silva. I think they've just recently brought Mendy in. They're obviously trying to get Declan Rice in, but Chelsea's priority is to get a goalkeeper to replace Kepa Arrizabalaga. Liverpool, they've already made one signing so far. They got to Sigmas in. City, they've signed Nathan Ake and Ferran Torres. I think they've brought a few academy players in. Leeds, they've also made some good signings. Arsenal, they've signed Gabriel Magalhaes and Willian. So that's another one of my element of concerns. But so far at the football club, Solskjaer has spent over £200 million. He's brought 6 senior players in to the club. He's also brought a few academy players in as well. Like I updated you on my recent video, Solskjaer's challenging our academy players to replicate Mason Greenwood, Brandon Williams and others. And I think, the likes of Tiedemann, Menge, Hannibal, Merge-Bright, if I pronounced that correctly, and James Garner have bright futures at Manchester United. Because since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer took over the reins at Man United in December 2018, he said, he wants to promote young, homegrown talents at Manchester United, don't forget. But I think he's promoted the youth very, very well, if I am going to be quite honest with you. But you can see that Solskjaer's trying to change the culture of the club, and you can see that he's trying to improve the squad because there's still key areas where Manchester United are lacking. Another thing Solskjaer's got to do is put Dean Henderson as number 1, because I think Dean Henderson is now reliable enough to become our number 1 goalkeeper. Dean Henderson recently endured 2 successful loans with Sheffield United, so he has now got that experience behind him. Dean Henderson's been at United since the age of 14, so he has been part of the club for several years. And Dean Henderson recently threatened to leave Man United if he isn't assured to be number 1 this season. And don't forget, Dean Henderson recently signed a 6-year deal with Man United worth 120 grand a week. But he has got a goalkeeping decision to make. But I personally think that Solskjaer will keep David De Gea as number 1 this season, because he said he wants to keep David De Gea as number 1 for at least this season. And this season is going to be David De Gea's 10th season at Manchester United. And I think he's had 7 good years out of the 9 years he's been at Man United, because in the last couple of years he has been a liability, reflecting on the calamitous mistakes he's made, David De Gea. Solskjaer's already made his decision on Harry Maguire. Harry Maguire will remain Manchester United captain this season. And there's obviously aspects of Harry Maguire's game that's got to improve. He was recently given extra time off as Maguire for his arrest in Greece and his court case in Greece. Last season was Harry Maguire's first season. We got Harry Maguire in a deal worth £80 million from Leicester last summer. So he's the second most expensive signing at the club and the most expensive centre-half in the world at this moment in time. So there's quite a few things that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has got to do. This season, though, is the big test for Solskjaer, because obviously, this season is going to be his second full season at the football club. Obviously, it's very imperative that we do have a strong start to this season, because we want to enjoy a good season this season. Obviously, we're not expected to win the title this season. I already went through with you what Manchester United need to do to have a chance of winning the title under Solskjaer. And I said we've obviously got to make at least 5 signings in this summer transfer window. Obviously, we're not going to do that. I said obviously we've got to get rid of more players. We've obviously got to see players improve as well. It's very imperative that we keep the players that we need at the football club. But like I've said, at this moment in time, City and Liverpool are strides ahead of us. But the improvements that are needed this season, I think Solskjaer's got to improve his decision making. I still think there's certain players that have got to improve. I think there's still aspects of our game that have got to improve as well. Solskjaer, I think, will go a lot with the 4-2-3-1 this season formation. He went a lot with that formation last season. Maybe he'll go with a few different formations throughout the course of the season. A few times went with 3 at the back last season. Also, too, we've got to keep as many players as fit as we can this season because we did have a lot of injuries last season. And that's why, obviously, Solskjaer made a lot of rotation in the squad. But since Solskjaer got appointed in as Manchester United manager, more or less everybody's been given their chances to express themselves, including the young players. So that's something else I will credit him for. But I think our expectations this season will be to challenge for the Premier League title. That's if we do make a couple of more signings. And I think we're expected this season to win some silverware because we've not yet won out in terms of silverware under the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer era. And Solskjaer has been at the football club now over a year and a half. Over a year and a half, yeah. But I think this season is going to tell the story if Solskjaer is the right manager for Manchester United and if he is the foreseeable future. But I said he needs another season because it is a transition period and it has been a transition period for a while. Like I said, when Solskjaer first came into the club, disregarding who he brought in, he was inheriting a squad that was worth £700 million. He's obviously inheriting a lot of players even the Jose Mourinho era, still a few players even the Van Gaal era, still one player here from the Moyes era, and still a few players here from the Alex Ferguson era. But I've always said not every manager settles in straight away. It does take time. Klopp didn't settle in straight away at Liverpool, and look now, he's emulated to that level, and look how good he is. Ferguson, when we first appointed him in, he didn't win out in his first 4 years at Manchester United. And look, after that 4 years not winning anything, look what Ferguson accomplished. It was amazing. He won a total of 38 major honours, including 13 Premier League titles. And like I've said, I think it's going to be hard for any manager at Manchester United to replicate Ferguson's legacy or to last as long as Alex Ferguson did. But don't get me wrong, I've seen improvements under the Solskjaer era. Like I said, our recruitment's improved under him. He's also got rid of a lot of the deadwood since he got recommended into Man United. We are unbeaten in the league since January. We are unbeaten in our last 14 league games. We did go on a 19-game unbeaten run in all competitions until Chelsea had beaten us in the FA Cup semi-final. So I have definitely seen improvements. I really, really have. But like I said to you on a lot of my videos, there's obviously players that Man United need to sell in this summer transfer window, but there's also a lot of players that Manchester United need to keep. And there's quite a few players that have got foreseeable futures at Manchester United. I think we need to keep Rashford. He's the foreseeable future for Man United. Keep Anthony Martial. I think he's got at least a couple of years at Man United from now because he's really improved under Solskjaer. Mason Greenwood, he's the foreseeable future for Man United. Was very good last season. He's had a few incidents recently, and he said that Solskjaer set to hold private talks with Mason Greenwood. We don't forget we recently gave him the number 11. I think Brandon Williams, he's the foreseeable future for Man United. He's our backup left back at the moment. Don't forget we recently gave him the number 33, and Brandon Williams recently signed a 4-year contract with Man United. I think Fred, he'll stay at Man United at least for the next couple of years, even though he's finding game time hard now since the arrival of Bruno Fernandes. I think McTominay and Matic, they're the foreseeable futures. Well, Matic isn't the foreseeable future because he could leave maybe after the next 1 or 2 years, but I think McTominay is definitely the foreseeable future. Paul Pogba, I think he'll be at Man United at least for the next 1 or 2 years, but maybe isn't the foreseeable future for us. I just basically think that we need to get Paul Pogba a new long-term contract at the club to end the uncertainty over his future. Bruno Fernandes, definitely the foreseeable future. So too Wan-Bissaka. Wan-Bissaka just needs to improve his attacking intent. Lindelof and Bay, not sure about them if they're the foreseeable futures, but they will remain at Man United for at least this season. Luke Shaw, I think he's going to be here for at least the next couple of years because Luke Shaw's really improved under the Solskjaer era. David De Gea, maybe not the foreseeable future. He won't be sold in this summer transfer window, but could possibly leave next year sometime, David De Gea. I think definitely Dean Henderson's a foreseeable future for us. So there you go. So there's still a lot of players I would keep at Manchester United. But like I've said to you, last season, so it was Solskjaer's first full season at the football club. And to be honest with you, he exceeded most of his expectations. Obviously got us qualification for the Champions League. Also finished third. And don't forget, we did progress to 3 semi-finals. The only expectation we didn't exceed last season was winning any silverware. But the first part of last season, Solskjaer was under serious pressure because we enjoyed our worst start ever to a Premier League season. At that point, Solskjaer was so close to getting sacked as Manchester United manager. But in the last 7 years, we know that we've been playing catch-up. And we've been very inconsistent. We spent close to the £1 billion range on players. We've had obviously different managers with different philosophies, and we have made a lot of mistakes in the last 7 years, and that's one of the main explanations why we have been so inconsistent. But we have not won the Premier League title since 2013, so we haven't won it for 7 years. But we are the most successful team in Premier League history because obviously we have won 20 titles and, 13 of them are Premier League titles. But I can't wait for the game against Crystal Palace on Saturday, opening day of the Premier League season. Preview for that game will be coming up either on Thursday or Friday. More than likely, it will be Thursday. It's a game Manchester United should win, but I'm not going to take anything for granted. Palace have had a good start. They recently beat Southampton by 1-0. Don't forget, last season in the game against Palace at Old Trafford, we lost 2-1. And that was Palace's first win at Old Trafford in the Premier League since 1989. We did beat them at Selhurst Park, though, towards the end of last season by 2-0. But we have got a pretty good record against Crystal Palace. I heard that Palace have got up to 7 injuries. I think they've got, Benteke injured, Patrick Van Aanholt, James Tompkins, Gary Cahill. Just wait there a second. Yeah, and I think they've got a few other players out injured. I think one of their players has actually got the virus. But I think we should go with our strongest 11. That's if, they are available. Don't forget, Luke Shaw's just recently recovered from an ankle injury. Luke Shaw, he's recovered from an ankle injury. Rashford just recently recovered from an ankle injury. Tuan Zeberherd's still injured. Is Phil Jones still out with injury as well? But it's going to be interesting to see how Ole Gunnar Solskjaer approaches that game. Now, in our pre-season defeat to Aston Villa recently, there was 7 of our first team regulars that didn't play. David De Gea obviously wasn't involved. Wan-Bissaka wasn't involved. Lindelof obviously wasn't involved. Bruno Fernandes wasn't involved. Paul Pogba wasn't involved. Anthony Martial, he's also another player that wasn't involved. And there was another one that wasn't involved as well. Who was the other one? I think, was it Matic or something like that? But yeah, there was 7 of our first team regulars that wasn't involved in that game. But I think they should be available for this game against Crystal Palace at the weekend. Obviously, the next game after Palace is Brighton. That's away. But within our first 7 games, we've got Arsenal, Chelsea, Tottenham and Everton, and they're all going to be very, very difficult games. But my perception on Solskjaer is that he has learned a lot at Manchester United. He really, really has. But like I said, he needs backing more. And that's why I said it'd be very beneficial if we could get a director of football in. But Solskjaer's obviously got that managerial experience behind him now. Reflecting how long he's been with us, Man United is the 3rd club in his managerial career. So yeah. So anyway, guys, that's everything to update you today. Drop your comments, likes, below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless, and I'll see you all again very, very soon.